How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking inside Adobe Premiere Pro CC. This is 2022 at this point, and we are going to be looking at how to organize your project, set up some things, look at the Premiere project setup and organization, and then learn how to actually import your footage so you can create a new sequence and actually get into the editing. So first thing you're going to want to do, open Premiere Pro. I've already done that. You're going to go ahead and click New Project. It's going to bring you to this window here. I'm just going to name this tutorial project, and that's that. Now, a very important thing, your location right here. Right now it's set to somewhere random. What you're going to want to do is click Browse, and that's going to open this window here. It's just going to open your Finder. You're going to go ahead and click to where you want this thing to save. Very important part is what I'm going to do is create a new folder. I'm just going to call this the same name. That doesn't really matter, but it's very helpful with organization. And you're going to see right here it actually made that new folder. Another thing I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new folder inside there, call it Project, and a new folder inside there, I'm going to call it Premiere. Now lots of folders here, but it's not something to worry about because in the end, you might have a lot of folders, you might have a lot of files. Once those files are actually inside those folders, it's going to make your project organization and looking for things so much easier. So that's important right now. I'm going to go ahead and click Premiere, make sure that's chosen, and that's going to output right there to that folder, Project Premiere. As far as your renderer, this recommended one is a very good one. You know, it's using all the power really your computer is able to give it, so it's not something to worry about when it comes to actually playing things back or the actual rendering and exporting process. As far as scratch disks and ingest settings, you know, that's something not really to worry about. As long as everything's the same as your project, it's not a really big deal. The only thing I would say is make sure your display format is set to timecode. If you're working with frames, I've never really worked with feet in frames. You know, timecode is just really good to have because you're looking at both of your, whether it's hours, minutes, seconds, as well as your frames are set to there depending on how many frames per second you have. So timecode is good. If everything there looks good, if your project location is output in the right place, you can go ahead and click OK. And that's going to open Premiere right up for you. Now, nothing's really exciting. Nothing exciting is really happening here. You have your project window, your media browser. I'm going to go ahead and drag this up here. And, you know, it's just really blank. And that's because we haven't done anything. So what you want to do, go ahead and find that folder in your media browser. I'm going to find it right here. It's somewhere. Tutorial project. There we go. And we have our project. We have the actual Premiere project. Now leave that there. That's not going anywhere. What you want to do, I'm going to go ahead and go back into that folder on my actual computer, not through Premiere. And we have a project folder. That's it. That's only where that project's being stored, and that's helpful. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to make 3 other folders. I'm going to call one of them Video. I'm going to call the other one Audio. And the last one is going to be Graphics. I'm also going to capitalize these just because, if I can spell, just because I think it looks better organization-wise. Other thing I'm going to do is if you have any video, if you have any audio, always throw them in here before you actually put them in Premiere, because if they're not in there and they're only in Premiere, then Premiere's the only space they're going to be in. And if you relocate things or anything like that, the media is going to be unlinked and it's going to be lost forever. So just for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to throw our channel trailer in the video folder. All your video is going in video, all your audio is going in audio, and anything graphics-wise, whether it's pictures or motion graphics or anything from After Effects or Illustrator or Photoshop, those are all going in your graphics folders, right? So right now we've got our actual project and we've got a video source. And for the sake of this tutorial, that's all we need. So let's hop back into Premiere, find that folder, and I'm going to go up to video. I'm going to drag that video folder in. And there we go. And the video is actually in there. Now you'll notice if I try to drag graphics or I try to drag audio, they're not going to show up. And that's only because there's nothing in those folders right now. I don't want to drag project because that's essentially just dragging your actual Premiere project into your project folder. And it's just like a little Premiere paradox, I guess. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new bin. I'm going to put an asterisk in front of it just so it stays at the top when we're organizing by name up here it'll always be there, or it'll be at the bottom depending on where it's going to be. Once there's audio and once there's graphics, I can just drag and drop here. But as far as sequences, I'm not going to drag this into a new sequence because it's only going to take that video for the sequence settings. If I have any other videos that maybe don't match the frame rate or the aspect ratio, it's not going to line up right, and you're going to have to do a lot of effect control adjustments when it comes to scale or position or anything like that. What I am going to do is I'm going to go to File up here, click New, Sequence, and we get a huge list of options here. There's a ton to choose from. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick with the ARRI, excuse me. It's going to be 1080p, which is full HD, at 23.976 frames per second. Now you'll notice we have 23.976, 24, 25, 30, 29.97. Now 23.976 is the basic frame rate for cinema, for feature films or short films. It gives it that cinematic look, and you'll notice that if you play around with different frame rates when it comes to actually editing. And then you have 30, which is more YouTube videos, personal videos, those are typically the frame rates you see when you're scouring through YouTube or Vimeo or things like that. And then you'll also see, they're not listed here, but there's 60 frames per second, 120, 240, and that's essentially slow motion. It's interstices, it's anything used by time interpolation or accentuated by editing. That's all going to be in post-production if we ever decide to do slow motion. So I'm going to stick with ARRI 1080p at 23.976. I'm going to give the sequence a special name. It's not going to be just any random name. I'm going to name it by date. So today is January 10th, 2022. I'm going to name it the year. It's going to go year, month, day, 2022, 01 for January, and 10 for the day. I'm also going to give it a letter afterwards, starting alphabetically with A. And I'm just going to name this tutorial sequence 1. Then I'm going to click OK. And that sequence is now showing up in a project window, and we also now have a navigatable timeline down here. Navigatable? Whatever. So I'm going to take the sequence, I'm going to drop it into the sequences folder, drop that down, and we have it right there. So next thing we want to do is we have our project, we have our sequences in our video. We don't have audio or graphics, remember, because we have nothing in those folders, so they can't actually be dragged in there. But I'm going to take my video, I'm going to drop it in the sequence, and there we go. That's our channel trailer. Now, however, say I didn't want to have this intro here, I only wanted the video part. What I'm not going to do, I'm not going to take the razor tool and cut right here and then take this and delete that, because that is amateur. What I am going to do is I'm going to go to the actual video. I'm going to take it out of there. I'm going to go to the actual video and right click it. I'm going to drag all the way down here, and you'll see open in source monitor. So I'm going to click that, and this is our source monitor. This is the program monitor. The program is anything that's being directly outputted from your timeline, while the source monitor is taking things from your project, like raw video or raw audio, and in here is it's the length of the video or the audio. But what you can do is, say I wanted to start when the video starts, so I'm going to go frame by frame with the arrow keys here, and there it is. And I'm going to click this little button, or I can hit I on the keyboard. That's going to set an endpoint. Now I'm going to go to the end. I don't want the end right there, so I'm going to frame by frame here, right there. And you're going to click this one, or O on the keyboard. And now you only have that selected portion of the video. So next thing you can do is you can insert or overwrite into your timeline. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And you'll notice if you go to your timeline, now in the program monitor, all you have is the video part. So you can do a majority of your editing, video by video, scene, whatever, inside your source monitor. And that's really helpful when it comes to not making cuts and not just guessing where you want things to be. That is really helpful in there, especially if you have this project based on time. If they write down you want 7 seconds and 18 frames, you know that right there you can click the endpoint, and that's great. And if you want to do any more editing inside here, if you want that and that, it's not going to change over here. But it is going to change if you want to drop it in next to it. So there's our program monitor, there's our source monitor. I drop that in there, and that is good to go. what if I wanted to make adjustments to this video? What if, say, there's this little zoom in here, I don't want that, or I want it to end right there instead of right there? Well, I'm not going to go in here and I'm not going to start to edit. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm not going to cut or anything. What I am going to do first, I'm going to drop down my sequences bin. I'm going to click that sequence that I'm currently in and I'm going to duplicate it. Now you're probably thinking, why? Well, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to rename it. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to rename it to the same date, but instead of A, I'm going to put B. And I'm going to write tutorial edits. And that's where I'm going to be editing it. But you're wondering, why am I putting B? You know, what's going on? Well, if I double click right here on this sequence, it's going to open up the exact same thing. And say I want to, you know, trim it a little bit or get rid of only this part of the audio and move this like down here and up here and move this just over. And now it's all out of sync and now it's all messed up. So what was the point of that? Well, if that's unrecoverable, if you can't undo any of what you just did, you're always safe because you have this other sequence that is your failsafe. So if you do anything in here you don't like when it comes to color grading or audio mixing or just plain old editing, you can go back to your other sequence and save it. And you can make an infinite number of these sequences. It doesn't matter how many you make, but I always recommend, if you get up and go to the bathroom after editing and you come back and you want to make a new sequence, you don't know what's going to happen, maybe you don't remember where you saved, you start editing one night, you stop, go to sleep, next day you hop back into it, make a new sequence. It's always going to help you in the end. But as for right now, I don't need that one, so I'm just going to get rid of it. I would never delete a sequence either, except for right now, just because you never know what you're going to delete. You never know what's not backed up, what's not your failsafe, and that's always important to remember. And when it comes to effect controls and effects, you know, the video transitions, audio effects transitions, your audio clip mixer, color grading, all of that, we're going to look into that in further tutorials. So as for right now, thank you for checking out the tutorial. Next one, we're going to be looking into actually editing, actually putting in some effects and presets and getting into that editing phase. So thanks for checking it out, and we'll see you with the next Premiere Pro tutorial.